Hey guys, and welcome back to another Parts Factory Australia installation tutorial video. Today we're working on this Mazda 3. Specifically, we're going to be changing the whole thermostat housing, little plastic unit. It's an absolute mess to get down in there. I'm probably going to say this job is going to take about half an hour 45. Basically, it's in under this jungle of hoses and plastic clips, and all this is going to have to be removed. So I'm really not looking forward to it, as you can see, but look, I'm going to get the job done and show you how to do it as quick as you possibly can. Guys, now if you do need this part, we have them available at Parts Factory Australia. What are they, 143.30, something like that? Yeah. Free express post anywhere in Australia. Basically, you get it, you buy it, you get it in your hand. I think they fit 03 to 08. And then yeah, they come with the little gasket to the cylinder head wall. We're going to throw that in. This is a temperature sensor, but basically what happens to them is these plastic pieces get really brittle over time, and obviously spring a leak or snap off entirely. And you don't have to you don't need me to tell you twice why that's a big problem for your car. But other than that, guys, let's jump straight into the job. Guys, just before we do get started, I just wanted to let you know that these are also the same as the Mazda 6, Mazda 3 that we're working on. I think even the Mazda CX-7. It's all the L3 engines, so if you have an L3 engine, just make sure it physically looks the same. Other than that, they're all going to be in the same location, just obviously in the different cars. Alrighty, let's jump into the job. Right guys, just for the best viewing viewport possible for you guys, I'm going to probably take off more than necessary. So first things first, you have this massive plastic bit that you can literally just bring up and around, and you can just let it sit there like that, and you get into your air intake tube and box, etc, etc. Now there's a 10mm here, and then there's a hose here. This one will just pop off, pop out like that, swing it over here, and literally just tuck it out of your way so that you don't have to deal with that later. Now we're going to take this big box out. To do that, as I said, you need a 10mm to remove it off the throttle body. So grab your 10mm, obviously undo your throttle body. Once you've cracked it, finished off by hand. Try not to lose that hose clamp though. Now this box, you just pop these tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm hoping we just unplug this plug, pressing down on that plug, and you can just pull that plug off, and then pull that hose off, pop it up in the air, and wiggle this air intake tube off, and the whole thing comes up and out of the way. Filter out of the way. This box, let's have a good look here. It's looking like, what do we got? Not much actually. It's actually held in by rubber mounts. Even this is just a pull off job. You can literally just lift, pull off, whole box up and out of the way. You can see we're already getting there pretty quickly. So you got all these hoses. Pop them out of the way. Even these ones, the same thing. Just pop these clips up and out of the way so that that entire hose can literally just be reefed to the side. You got these ones here, reefed to the side. Even if you have like a little strap just to hold them that direction so that you can get in here a bit easier. Right, so this big hose that runs through here, it goes to your little purge valve and some wiring and whatnot. It's all attached to these little, what are they, bloody air intake manifold pressure sensors or something. It's not what we're here for, is it? We're going to undo these couple 10mm in here. If you have a look just there, you got one, and then you have one back here, two, and that way all those little cables can be pulled up and out of the way. Basically, I'm just trying to make it easy for us, because if you're doing it for your first time, little cables and all that jazz being everywhere might get a little confusing. So we want to unplug as much as possible so that the area is nice and tidy, if you know what I mean. I'm going to get rid of that bracket. So see how that bracket now wants to come up in the air. Just going to get that bolt out so we don't lose it. Bolt up and out of the way. And again, there's another wire here plugged into this little purge valve. I'm gonna unplug it so that we can drag this entire thing up and out of the area. So see how we can now get in there a bit better. Again, I'm gonna readjust my little rope so that it's all held up out of my way. I don't want to be damaging my hands or damaging any of the components at the same time either. There you go, so see how it's up out of the way like that. So now you have these couple little purge valves, whatever they are. Pop that out of the way. You can see how it's all just moving out of our way, and then you can see the actual unit we're going for. It's down there. You got this one little hose that's actually attached to the part we're removing. So as you can imagine, if we get rid of this bracket and then this big bloody, I don't even know, oh, it's like a fuse box, or it's actually your ECU. We're going to remove that ECU and hopefully we can get in there and work on that area. Actually not bad. Right guys, so this thing that we're actually removing, it actually sits on top of the part we're replacing. So even if you think, you know, you can get around it, you can't, because she's coming out anyway. So I'll undo these few Torx bits. Got one over here, the second one. Once they get a bit loose like that, you can come in and just finish it off by hand. You don't lose the bolt. There's 4, so a rectangular pattern. You should be able to see them in there pretty easy. And that one might be hard to get to, so what I'm going to do is remove these hoses, if I can. Oh, maybe I can't. I'm going to undo all 4 then. I'm going to lift the unit out and hopefully the bolts don't drop. Right, so I've just got all those 4 bolts off, and now you can see this whole module wants to pull around to the side. I want to have it where it's not going to get damaged. But you can see these little guides, they're stopping any pressure from being applied to these little nipples on these solenoids. So listen to what they're asking for, no pressure. So let's see if we can get it over here, pull it up out of the way, but without reefing on it. Something like that, where it's just going to sit there nice and gently. We can access under here. Alrighty guys, so you're now to the area, but as you can see, you're not going to be able to get your wrench in there. So we've got to remove this ECU and this battery box. So let's remove the battery box and ECU out of our way. To clamp off, I'm just going to remove the clamp entirely. Clamp out of the way, undo your little negative, just spins off, and you might have a 10mm on that. I'm unsure exactly. So negative off, negative out of the way, negative there off, of course positive off, because your battery's got to come out of that hole. Positive off, spin it around, lift your battery out and up out of the hole, to the side, assess what's left to be done. So 10mm down there, 10mm over there. Something holding it, one more just in the guts there. All the bolts out of the way. Time to undo your ECU plug. Clip you got to depress, there it is. One. Depress the little clip underneath the plug, pull up on the white tabs, and the plugs just pop out like so. Tuck your plugs out of your battery box. They're usually kind of squeezed in there a bit. I don't know why they do it like this, but it's what we have to work with. This battery box should just lift out, providing everything's undone. It's connected via a little clip there. Pops out like so. Right, so once you've got your battery box out, you'll then notice that these little wires are mounted to here and here. Of course, you can just grab your wire, squeeze the little tabs, pair of pliers, squeeze, squeeze, remove your wires out of the way, and then you want to get rid of this bracket. It's super straightforward. There's a 10mm straight under here. You can literally just undo it by hand, and you'll notice the bracket will just pop off, bolts up out of the way, and then there you go, guys, your thermostat housing. Alrighty guys, so you can kind of get in here now with the space we've got. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we should be right actually. I'm not gonna remove, I was thinking about removing this bracket, but I might leave it. So obviously the next step is to remove all these hoses. There is a bit of an order of that operation. I'm thinking we're gonna start with this one here. So obviously squeeze the alligator clamp and drag it back about there, and then you can grab this whole pipe and give it a twist, just like so. Once you twist it, wrap your hand around, pull it off. You might lose a bit of coolant, guys. It's to be expected. If you can, try and put the hoses up into the air so that they obviously don't lose too much coolant. That one runs underneath, and then you got this one through here. You come in through the side. Wow. Clamp down on that clamp. Again, bringing it forward just like so. Twist the hose, and hopefully, yeah, that one's going to be hard to get into, but that's okay, because once we've got the whole mount off, we can finish off the job. Same thing here, guys. Crimp down on that clamp. If you've got adjustable pliers, you're going to have much better luck doing this. I do not, because I'm not actually at my workshop today. We're going to try and use these dodgy ass pliers, crimping down, bringing it back, and you can grab this hose, and hopefully you can just twist it, and then yeah, it'll just pop off like so. Again, bring the pipe up into the air so that you don't lose all your coolant, like that. Of course, you still have this one, but we're going to be able to access that much easier once this is off. So you got 4 8mm, and then this whole thing is going to pull off the head. Alrighty guys, so you got your 8mm, crack them first. Let's have a, you can reach over, have a feel where they all are. You got one on the first one that I showed you. You got one down the bottom here. Just should be able to do it without looking. You can just wrap your hand around, and of course there's one down here, so you just undo it by hand. Okay, bring in your bolt up somewhere safe. You can remove it here as well. Again, you want to make sure that this little 8mm is safe, not going to get lost. What you can do is you can use another tool to hold it, hopefully, like so. Now where's the last one? I think down here. I'm thinking there must be one more, because it hasn't cracked off the housing yet. Maybe through there. Yep, straight through the top. These need to be reasonably tight, because remember, it's the head actually takes on water from this housing. Now, last one, as I said, straight through the guts at the top here. Hopefully it's just an easy crack, and you can finish it off. There it is there. Now you can see the housing wants to move now. So bring it up and spin it around. So you still got that one down the bottom there, but I want to do this top one first. So we're gonna just give it a bit of a tug if we can. See that one there? This one's gonna be the only one that's difficult to get back on. So Just bear that in mind. Alrighty guys, so from this point, there's nothing wrong with this thermostat housing. I've shown you how to remove it. You've obviously got those two last lines you got to pull off. Now I'll give you a bit of advice. In order to make this job easier for you, go and get a pair of vice grips, you know, those crimping grips, and crimp down on this hose. Pull it tight, crimp down on the hose, so that when you undo this, it doesn't suck back in, if you know what I mean. It's a stretchy hose, so crimp down, it'll hold that hose. You can undo that alligator clip, twist it off, put the new one on, and then put the clamp back up, and then you're good to go. You're back in this same situation. So, as you can imagine guys, at this point, same procedure, but in reverse. So, obviously, we want to grab our housing, brand new housing, bring it back down into place, lining it up, the bolt holes. Remember the seal is on the back, and you've got a new one, so I'm going to inspect my one. It looks good. Remember, you should probably clean up the surfaces of the head before you put it back on, but mine looks mint. Lining all that up, and then you grab one of your 8mm, stick it on your socket, and poke it straight through the top hole till you line it up. Tightening up until it kind of sits and holds itself, and at that point give it a wiggle, straighten it up for the other bolt hole, because it should just be an easy straight in like so. Now you don't want to tighten any of these up at the beginning, because you want to have all 4 in before you even consider tightening anything up. That's for 2 reasons. You won't be able to get the bolt in, and the seal will be better if the pressure's evenly distributed. So I've got the one in underneath, which is really easy actually, which is a good thing because it's getting dark and cold. Again, same thing, a little 8mm. You can use your tool to poke it through like so. You got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Making sure you're putting it in by hand so you don't cross thread the thread on the head, because believe me, you won't want to you won't want to know what happens if you do something like that, guys. So you tighten it up by hand, each one by hand, even pressure. Remember this one down the bottom, all the way in. Now we're going to start with the one down the bottom and tighten it right up, and then you grab your wrench, obviously put it to tighten mode, and we're talking 1 finger tight. So you bring it to the point where it's holding itself, and then you're pressing it with 1 finger until where the pressure of 1 finger is enough. Same thing over here. Now if you go too tight, you're going to crush your seal and it'll actually do you no good. Again, 1 finger tight. I know what 1 finger tight feels like, but you can do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, like so. Now same thing in reverse. You've got all your hoses, you got some hose clamps to put on. You got this one here. Pushing it forward with your finger, placing it on nicely. Alrighty guys, so your housing's back on. You've got your 2 main bottom hoses back on. Now as you can imagine, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. You obviously bring your big hose back, wobbling it on. Big hose clamp. You can bring it up with your fingers, but the rest of the job will obviously need to be done by the pliers.
Alright guys, so this is the Parts Factory OEM replica replacement unit. As you can see, comes with the sensor and the seal on the back. Probably Mazda would probably quote you something like $800 for a piece like this. You can get them here at Parts Factory Australia with $143.30, and you can also use this video to help yourself save some more money on installing it. You'll probably save yourself anywhere upwards, I would save $1,000 doing this job, sourcing the part off us and watching this video to install it.
Right guys, so a pair of these is what you need. Spreading pliers, that way you can get a wide grip and obviously crimp down on that clamp without dropping anything. Still not the best set of pliers, but hopefully we can bring it forward, and then putting that right back where it was. That way you get a nice seal. Okay, so don't forget you have this one up here, which we've tucked in and around all these cables. It is a bit confusing, I know, but should be right. Put that on nice and tight. Don't forget you got this little clip thing, which just spins around, clips onto that hose, just supports it there. Now don't forget your hose clamp itself. It is down the hose a bit, so you can just go straight up and under, crimp it open, dragging it right up and letting it sit exactly where it once was, so there's a nice seal there. Okay, so at this point, guys, it's now time to reassemble absolutely everything else. So remember, we started with this little bracket here. Placing that into place, you have that little 10mm nut. You just literally pop it down there, tighten it up, grab your 10mm, tighten it up, etc., and then nice and tight so nothing moves around. So at this point, it's now time to put your battery box in, but don't forget all of your wiring that plugs into this mount here, just to keep everything OEM. We're going to stick everything back properly, pushing all the clips in, and you should hear an audible click. Now if you have broken your clips, just put a nice little fat zip tie around that. That way it all just sits there nice and flush. Okay, so we'll grab our battery box, bringing it back in, lining it up where it's supposed to be. You can see back there, you've got 1, 2, 3. You can literally just drop your 10mm into place. 1, 2, of course the last one, 3. Well, there might be a bit of stuff in there, but it's all right, the bolt will clear it out. Now don't forget you got your ECU, which you can literally just plug in, push down. Same thing over here, because you want to be tucking all these cables in there like that, so it's looking OEM, just in case you want to sell your car, etc., etc. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. Now start it off by hand. It goes right in there, nice and tight. 1, 2, and 3. If you have a little power tool, now's the time to use it, but don't use too much power because these are obviously rusty 10mm. Okay, so you've got all your wiring back in place. You want to put this little shield here. Not exactly sure why they need this shield, but this way. Kind of just slides in, doesn't it? Yeah, there you go. So it slides in, locks into place. Of course, your battery, lift it in, dropping it in. It's a bit heavy, so be that smooth. Now remember, you have your negative terminal, but you need to start first of all with this one over here. This is your positive. Oh yeah, now I see why they do this. So what happens is that goes in and under there, I think, yeah. Right, so this has 2 clips that kind of clips it under there, but over time these clips wear out, so it kind of releases. But as we go through, I'll show you how to get that fixed. So have this all nice and straight. Tighten the positive terminal up, leave the negative terminal off for now. Now this one over here just passes down here and over, and then you can put that one on over there. Of course you have that little nut that goes on the top. You can tighten that up. Right, guys, you just grab your clamp and you reach over, and because that clamp pulls it tight, I'm hoping that you know, see how it still unclips? It's because of that little loosened or weak clip, but it should be okay.
Not major.
No, it's not a major problem. I'm going to put our little 10mm on the top. Now at this point, as you can imagine, it's now time to put your little solenoids back on. So I tied mine out of the way. We're going to untie them, bring them back around, placing them back into place like so. Remember, you've got your few little plugs that you need to put in, which is one, and they're color coded, so there's no opportunity for you to get that wrong. You have this purge valve plug down there, but we're going to get that later. So we're going to see if we can line up these 4 Torx bits to get this back into place where it belongs. Using your Torx bit, we're going to tighten this back up. Sometimes you might need to start it off without the wrench until there's a bit of friction there. Okay, so that's those 4 done. Right, let's just run over our checklist. We're going to undo our rope now. Let all these pipes and hoses fall back in our way. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the purge valve. I'm going to plug the plug in, which is just down here. It goes over the top, like so. One, and then of course you have that little 10mm down there, so you want to grab that 10mm and line it up, put it in the actual housing itself so that it's kind of just hanging there if you can without dropping it. See how I've put it on that bracket, it's now sitting there, and we're going to tighten it up so it can't wobble anymore. Alrighty guys, so it's now time to put your ECU cap back on, just like so. You can just clip it into place. Your air box clips in with this grommet here, and a little plastic rubber band that's fallen down in there. Right, so as you can see, bang, bang, and bang. So drop this down into where it belongs. I think I'm, yeah, here like this. Dropping all the way to the bottom until it literally lines up and clicks in. So this little thing here, you place like that and you just pull it over the top. Right guys, you've got your air box in. We're literally nearing the end. It's time to put your air filter in, and it's time to put your air cap in. Now, this has to be done properly so you don't suck up any dust. Bring it in, wrap it under. I'm sure you can manage this part. Lining it up, and of course, air intake tube. Squishing it over. It should all feel like it belongs, if you know what I mean. It's nice and tight, and then you can clip one, clip over here. Should be pretty easy. Well, mine definitely is. Yep, there it is. 1, 2, 3. You got that one over there. 4. Right, we were tripping out. Of course, there was this one that we took over that way. It looked OEM. So this is the one that we knew was missing from here. So we tuck it in, bang, bang, bang. And of course it comes over here like so. And then MAF sensor in, plug it in. And guys, you're good to go. It's just an air, it's just a, it's actually literally to air out the battery box of fumes. That's what that does. So as long as that's lined up, all your pipes are, that's it. Oh, and don't forget, tighten up your air intake hose. That's the final step. And that's it guys. That's how you replace a water outlet, thermostat housing, whatever you want to call, on a Mazda 3, Mazda 6, Mazda CX-7, 2 litre, 2.3 litre, whatever you've got. That's how you do it. Absolutely, basically a nightmare job, but we've done it. We've done it on the side of the road. All we had was a socket set and a pair of pliers, so it's not too bad. Guys, don't forget, if you can, give the video a thumbs up. Remember, the product's on our website description. Click the link, it'll pop down, it'll take you onto the website. Buy it, get it in your hand. We're free overnight express post, so you can't really go wrong with that, guys. All right, my name's Lucas Strabs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.